NBA guard James Ivey was waived by the Chicago Bulls after anti-LGBTQ rhetoric came out on an Instagram Live. My name is Khalif, and this is the Stark Effect TikTok edition. I'm here to tell you all about it. So let's go ahead and get into it. So Gay Magazine has been covering the story really well. This was the first outlet that I noticed that posted this particular story, but I know Hollywood Unlocked has had, ongoing updated information about it. But we're going to start off with yesterday's story with Gay Magazine. So the story is still actively developing. Anywho, NBA guard James Ivey went on a social media rant through an IG live. It was a 45-minute live. In the particular video, he was going on and on and on about how the MPA essentially is unrighteous for highlighting and celebrating Pride Month. Now, this was something that was completely random. Nobody saw this coming. Even me. Like, I was like, who? First of all, no shade. I don't even know who this man is, to be honest with you. I don't know who he is. I'm only covering it because it's a hot topic and it makes sense for our conversation. But, yeah, this is such a random situation show. So, let's see here. The Chicago Bulls announced today, aka yesterday, that the team has waived guard Jayden Ivey due to conduct detrimental to the team. In the context of the NBA being waived means a team releases a player before their contract expires, according to Gay Magazine. And this article was written by, let's see, Brandon. It just says Brandon. He doesn't have a last name. Okay. So when a player is waived, according to Gay Magazine, and what this waived means is, once again, the team releases a player before their contract expires. The player is removed from the team but remains eligible to play for another team. After being waived, the player goes through a 48-hour waiver period where another team can claim them and resume the remainder of their contract. In the event no team claims the player, they become an unrestricted free agent and can sign any team. So, they decided to eventually, to basically kind of softly let him go because of this rant. Now, the rant, he was just talking about judgment. He said that judgment is not a sin unless you're a hypocrite. He further calls out what he described as the unrighteousness of the NBA's support of the LGBTQ community. Here is a quote in the video. He said here, they proclaim Pride Month in the NBA. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets, unrighteousness. He also went on and on about how, people are holding up their signs basically supporting LGBTQ plus. They hold up their signs about how abortion is right. How is it a burden to teach the truth? That is his quote. That's because the devil is clearly working in these people to stop the truth. And then he also said, why is it that when Christians are preaching truth, the truth of the gospel, that people don't like it, that people don't want to hear it? It's because the Bible is true. They hate Jesus. They hate the one who made him. So those are some of the things he said. He also made other comments about how a man is not supposed to lie with a man and all these different things, right? Now, upon watching this video, you can go find it. It's really long, but we get the synopsis here. Journalist hat off. When I watched this video, I saw a person who was literally in a religious psychosis. Now, as a woman of trans experience myself, I have also had religious psychosis before, back in my earlier college days. I had psychosis at a time in my life. It was a really trying time in my life. Had a breakdown and everything. It was a hot mess, right? But it came from a place of me being ashamed of who I was. And yeah, so, the rants are normal when you're having religious psychosis. Now, I know religious psychosis is not like a actual, like, to my knowledge, I need to go fact check this here, but someone drop down below and let me know and correct me if I'm wrong. Religious psychosis is not really like a diagnosed thing to my knowledge, but there is a trend of people who, find the Lord and find Jesus. Some of them become what we call a Jesus freak. Now, I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but we all know what I'm talking about. And as I say that, do not twist my words when I say this. I'm not saying that it's wrong to have faith. I'm not saying that it's wrong to love the Lord and love Jesus and be a believer. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not against the Lord. What I am against, and this is my journalist hat off, this is personal opinion now, not the opinion of who I work for. This is just me. what I do have an issue with and what I am against is when people weaponize religion and hide behind faith to be homophobic, transphobic, and all phobics, right? Now, I do understand that they have the Bible and they believe that you follow the Bible, you know, and all those things like that. And it brings us to a place where this is why people turn away. When people use religion to attack people, this is what turns people off. This is what makes people not want to be believers anymore. You get what I'm saying? And not even just be believers, because there are people that still do believe in God and do believe in Jesus, right? But it's two sides of the coin. You know, behavior like this makes people either become an atheist, or if they are still a believer and they believe in God, they either become more spiritual and they just kind of leave the church because it's a mess and it's very problematic and it's very toxic. And it's just interesting how people, I'm not saying that he is this way, but when people are very, very churchy, they usually have a lot of skeletons and demons in their closet that they're battling with and facing, such as pedophilia, such as all these different things. And I hope this video doesn't get struck down by TikTok for saying those words. But you know, when people are overly righteous like this, it is just distasteful. Now, I don't know if Christians, I feel like some of them, they don't care that they come across this way. Some of them don't. And some of them do, right? This is why, for me, I just look at the situation as strictly religious psychosis. I don't know his walk of faith and his faith walk with the Lord. I don't know that. But it seems like it's new. It seems like he just found the Lord and he's going on a rampage and he's saying it publicly. You get what I mean? And not only that, you know, I think that some people genuinely get triggered by just seeing LGBTQ people happy, because socially, you know, over historically, and, you know, even with religion, LGBTQ identity, gender, sexuality, you know, the progress that we made was once not a thing. Do you get what I'm saying? That was once not a thing. And this was something that was very, very, very frowned upon. And in some churches across the nation, and even in other countries, they still preach that being openly gay, that being trans and all these different things, and being gay and trans in general, or a lesbian or anything that deviates from the cisgender heteronormative way of living. I'm not going to call it a lifestyle, but life, let's say life, that deviates from this cisgender heterosexual quote unquote normal life is a sin. There are people who do think that. I'm not saying that it's right? I don't even believe it's right. But there are people who hold on to that. And here's the thing. You know, also too, I think he could have just called a friend and got this out. Because my whole thing is like, you literally messed up your career. Then he went on and he called out Stephen Curry and said how Stephen Curry wasn't a believer in God and all these things. Just started immediately going after Stephen Curry. And, you know, Boosie, badass, is defending him. And I'll get into that in another video. But, yeah, long story short, this is a hot mess. And honestly, if you, in my opinion, this is just my personal opinion, regardless of what your religion is, you cannot weaponize that against people. And you should not be in people's business in their bedrooms and worrying about their sexuality. That is not your business. That's the issue with a lot of people. Y'all worried about people's body parts when they're trans or whatever they are. Y'all worried about who people sleeping with. That is not your business. It's not your business. It's not. You know, so there, you know, there's just been this, honestly, for the last 2 months, I don't know if it's because of this political climate that we're in, but I have just been seeing a lot of just like attacks on the LGBTQ community from random people. Oh, anyways, James, look, his family is not answering his phone calls. His wife is not answering his phone calls. He was waived from the team, and it's a mess, but it's a mess that he caused. And honestly, I just think he needs guidance. I think he needs to go to sleep and take a nap and get off of his phone. And his publicist or somebody needs to protect him so he can get his career back, right? And, you know, homophobia and transphobia is not tolerated. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So I get that people are religious, but it just annoys me how people use their faith to be problematic. That's what really, really annoys me. And it is problematic. Anyways, drop down below and let me know your thoughts and keep it respectful in the comments. If you get crazy, you will be blocked. This is the Stark Effect TikTok edition by yours truly, Khalif Starks. Let me know your thoughts.